Let's go make some blacksmith's days. Start with Rickard. We just met him. Might as well, right?
Hey, hang on. That's a sorcery ember, isn't it?
It is.
Yes, it certainly is. First I've seen since my banishment from Vinheim. What do you say, friend? Mind giving that to me? This is no man's land. I'm the only one who could handle it anyway.
I do kind of like that despite being more of a Vinheim peasant, there is still some of that, like, smarminess there. Like, hey, you can't do anything with this. I'm the only one anywhere who could do anything with this. It's a nice little through line that tells you about Vinheim itself, really.
Yes, as you should.
As you should.
I won't disappoint you. I'm taskless no longer.
But I mean, hey, we've made him happy. I don't believe it'll show up, but you can make bigger magic weapons now. Not actually sure what these two differences are, what the differences between these two are. Oh, right, duh, it's empty because we don't have anything. I just was on the wrong thing, yeah. If we had a +5 magic weapon, it would show up here as being able to ascend to +6. Don't think he has anything new to say, though.
There's nothing. We're both...
Nope.
Come back soon. Smithing helps soothe my nerves. Don't let me wither away out of idleness.
Don't you worry, buddy. We are definitely not gonna never use you at all. For sure.
What's that? Shiny, shiny. Give me that. I make weapons shiny.
Why not?
I had shiny, shiny. I make weapons shiny.
Giants are a very direct folk, I suppose. So he can now make crystal weapons. Yeah, these right here. Has to be a +10 weapon. Crystal weapons are quite strong. You can kind of see they get better parameter bonuses. They just get, you know, a bump up in stats and everything. But they can't be repaired, so once one breaks, it's gone. And you'll see the durability falls down to like 20 on the Ultra Great Sword. So it's very easy to just, you know, have a crystal weapon break and lose it forever. Let's see. And I think that's all he has. You have anything else?
I forge. Shiny, shiny. Get shiny from Duke. Forge weapons. Make shiny. More happy.
More happy. That was definitely supposed to happen before we got that one. But I like that the game does try to tell you, like, hint at where some of the embers are. It's really nice in that way. It said I don't think we have anything else that we want from him, unless he sells Homeward Bones. Guess not. That would have been nice.
Comment soon.
And finally, we have Andre.
Well, I'll be. That's a brilliant ember you've got there. For all my years in the trade, that might be the finest. How's about you leave that ember with me? I'm just an old smith. I'd give my left arm for a gem like that.
The left arm comment is nice when you notice he has the hammer in his right arm.
Well, thank you mightily for that. Now, just leave the rest to me. Andre of Astora gets the job done. You shall see.
And now, Andre, who has by far the most weapon things that he can do, can actually turn our +10 weapons into +11. And I am absolutely into that, baby. Having as strong a weapon as possible is going to be incredibly important once we get to the, like, DLC, which is basically the hardest area in the entire game. So, I'm gonna want that Zweihander way, way up. It's a good thing we've been picking up chunks like this. So we now have a plus 13 Zweihander. Quite a sizable increase, actually. And I assume you don't have anything new to say.
Oh, yes. And one other thing about the dock. It is said
Yeah.
house the grave
So-
of Sir Artorius, the Abyss Walker. Only of those who ventured into the forest, none has returned.
So actually, fortuitously, that little nugget of information, if, you know, you got from Ingward that you can't fight the boss, basically, without going to find Artorius, Andre, forever and ever ago, and I even forgot about this, actually gives you a hint about that. And if you happen to come here, which you generally will be doing for a lot of the game, because he's the only one who can make your weapons up to, like, plus 6 and now plus 11, he points you in that direction, and I really like that the game does that.
Neither of us want to see you go hollow.
Obviously, you'd find it yourself just exploring the Darkroot Garden, because, you know, there's not much to that. You know, there's not too much more to that area, basically. But I really, really like that the game gives you that push in the direction of that, you know? It's nice. Alright, now that we've got these taken care of, let's pop us back over to the Lords of Chaos, to the Daughter of Chaos. So we do have another leg on our journey now, don't we? And since she is a Firekeeper... Oops, yeah, we can't actually talk to her right now. We can get up to Estus Flask plus 4, which is, I think as strong as it's gonna get on this run, which I believe will tell certain players, about how I play the game. Let's see. So, we briefly popped into the Demon Ruins a ways back, but before we actually jump in, there are a few things I want to take care of, back in Blighttown. So let's go for that. Ah, Blighttown. Still just as Blighttown as you were before. Actually, we still have the Rusted Iron Ring equipped. That's good. That's kind of fortuitous, actually, because the Iron Ring, even though you can't quite... I think you can get it before, because it's just over in, here. Or it's just over in the... whatchamacallit? Why can't I think of words? The Rusted Iron Ring is in the Undead Asylum, so you can get it before you come here, and it makes things quite a lot easier as far as walking across goes. We're still gonna get poisoned, but, you know, it's just life, ain't it? Let's see. Let's see if we can find anything new around here. Expecting there to be one or two things. Such as, unfortunately, a friend that I made leave this world a bit too soon. So, because we told Laurentius that there was greater pyromancy down here, he actually came down to the swamps, and it seems they were, in fact, too much for him. So this is the final fate of Laurentius. Gone hollow before his time. Now... the reason that he did, as you'll recall, is because of Eingi's, because we got a Chaos Pyromancy basically. Ow, man hits like a truck. I will give him that. He does certainly know his business. And these flies don't make things much easier. Although the poison may make short work of him, even if we don't. I'm sorry, friend. There were actually a few ways to trigger that. There was a way that I had intended to do it, but couldn't. And that's pretty unfortunate, because he was really one of the good ones. Still, he's not the only thing down here that... He's not the only one down here that we want to see. Is that an item we never got? Did I manage to miss an item in Blight Town? That's wild. Let's check out these slugs again. I don't remember if I mentioned, but these guys drop green titanite. I missed this whole area when I came over here. Wow. The poison mist pyromancy. Oh, actually, these... I think those might actually be Laurentius's gear, and they might only show up after you kill him, but I'm not 100% certain about that. It's weird, because I would have expected that not to load into the area yet. Let's pop over to a safe place. Ideally on dry ground, so we don't immediately re-poison ourselves. So let's see. First, poison mist. Unique pyromancy crafted by Eingi. Considered a heretic even at the Great Swamp. Create poison mist. Eingi became an egg-bearing undead who serves a deformed young girl who speaks an unintelligible tongue. I believe we could actually also buy that from Eingi, but it's interesting that we would find it kind of over here. Let's check those other items that we got. Nope. Nope. There we go. Tattered, I think? Yeah. Hood worn by pyromancers of the Great Swamp. Though it appears tattered, it is actually quite strong. Their attire offers substantial protection against poison, fire, and other forms of nature in the hinterlands where they were driven. Where they were driven is really a very powerful statement, because it's very clear that these pyromancers were forced off of wherever they were previously onto this great swamp. And while Laurentius clearly took pride in that sort of thing, it tells you a lot about this culture that you basically will never see otherwise. Just another really nice... it's just the word driven that does that. It's so good. Manchette worn, though it appears tattered, quite strong. Boots made of thick leather. The boots of the pyromancers are incredibly tough on account of the rugged grasslands and treacherous swamps they must traverse. Their soles are nearly impenetrable. Just quite a strong line there. Their souls are nearly impenetrable. And I gotta think that that's an intentional play on words, which I really like. You know, even if it's from the developers. But there also seems to be someone else over here now, doesn't there? He did say he was headed down this way, didn't he? Trying to have a conversation.
Oh ho! Excuse me, I was so absorbed in thought I just drifted away. You see, I'm actually in a bit of a fix. I've made it this far, but I'm short on antidote moss for the trip back. By my knighthood, I'm ashamed to ask, but can you spare a few scraps of moss?
We see him now, once again, sort of falling asleep here. We see something of a lack of preparation on his part to not go through with this, to kind of just rush out to adventure without being properly prepared and kind of get himself into a bad spot. And it's... everything with Siegmeyer is quite consistent, really.
Fantastic. Thank you. A saint you are. This Knight of Katarina expresses his deepest gratitude. I shall not forget this. Please, take this, a symbol of my appreciation.
Now, I believe we just lost 3 purple moss clumps there. You have to give him enough to get back, and I like that you have to give him something that, especially in the middle of Blight Town, is quite useful to you.
Our fates do seem entwined, don't they? Perhaps this, too, is the will of Lord Gwyn.
Huh. Let's wear off a bit of that poison. Drink it off.
Swamp. Like quicksand in there. The poison.
And so we find another, just get another leg of Siegfried's journey done. Oh. Wow, these things still hit pretty hard. I also timed that really poorly. Yay. Since our home base bonfire is kindled at the moment, I don't really care about wasting precious Estus. Rather just not die to these slugs, because that would be embarrassing. Just figure if I can grab a few extra shards here, that'd be worth the price of admission. Oh, there's one behind me. Oh, that was an awesome blind dodge I just did there. I say as I get owned by slugs. Funnily enough, these guys are sort of one of the worst enemies to fight with the Zweihander. It just doesn't play to any of their strengths, or to any of its strengths. I will say, if we put on the Laurentius gear that we ended up getting, we would be a lot better equipped for this. But we don't have it, or we have this, but this is fine. Yeah, because their attacks just come out quite fast, and even if they're doing chip damage, it's kind of like the ghosts. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything out of that, but oh well. Let's make our way back. Still getting some frame rate hitches, just like back in the day. Memories. I guess while we're going through here, I should point out the roots again. We've kind of talked about them in the past, but we're about to get a lot more of a practical lesson in what they are and how they got here. So, certainly worth keeping in mind the way that they are, you know, grown over everything in here. And especially when you start looking over at Kulog's domain, the roots definitely seem like they are emanating from there in a way. Need pyromancy. You're not wrong. Let's see if I can't avoid getting crushed. Ha! Missed. Thank God I fit through that, because if not, I might be dead. Alright, our pyro hand is at 7, I think? It's equipped. I could have done that much easier. Whatever, 7. Alright, let's get that up to 10. Just real quick, like. My leg does not like the exact position that I'm in right now. Ugh.
What is it that you need?
Steinge's still nice with us. Nope, just need a little bit more. $12,000 souls, I believe. I'll try to keep that in mind as I burn all these Proud Knight souls. Should really equip them.
What is...
There we go. We now have a +10 pyromancy hand, and just for safety's sake, I am going to unload and reload the area. There we go. Well, I think I'll burn a moss just to avoid that noise being over all of our conversations. For you, the viewer. Because all these messages that talked about need pyromancy, we're actually talking about this woman here.
A mere undead, yet you can see me. Fascinating. I am Quelana of Izalith. I am not often revealed to walkers of flesh. You have a gift. Are you too one who seeks my pyromancy, like Salomon?
And so we get a nice mention, because I believe Laurentius told us that Salomon was the father of pyromancy and also his master. So we get this concept of a lineage of pyromancers, as it were.
Yes, of course. It should be expected. Very well. You shall be my pupil, but to pursue my pyromancy, you must give something up. Are you prepared to do this?
And now, this is one of those lines that actually would have hit so much better if I had done this, or if I had realized the Laurentius thing, because while one of the triggers for Laurentius going down to Blighttown and dying is joining the Daughters of Chaos and gaining their pyromancies, another is buying the special pyromancies that Quelana has. This Great Fireball, the Firestorm. Basically, things that you can't get anywhere else. Like some of these pyromancies here, you can't buy anywhere else but from Quelana. And when she says, you know, in order to gain this, something else must be given up, she's talking about Laurentius, essentially, because by becoming a pupil, you know, you were a pupil of Laurentius, and you do eventually surpass him. I mean, we are stronger than Laurentius ever was. But we were his pupil at that time, and now that we've gone under her tutelage, you basically can't avoid losing your friendship with Laurentius. You either don't tell him about these pyromancies and he keeps his life, but you're keeping something that is so fundamental to him. He loves pyromancy. You're keeping that from him, and he no longer trusts you. And if you tell him, we've seen what happens to him. And it's like, this is one of those little stories in Dark Souls, one of those little, like, single lines of dialogue in Dark Souls that just makes me love this game so much, because it can pack so much meaning into such a simple statement that you might just miss completely, and it's incredible that way. This is one of those things that I've kind of been, like, waiting the entire LP to show to people, because it's just one of those things that make me say, yes, this is why I love Dark Souls. So let's see what else she has. She can actually, I believe, eventually ascend our Pyromancy Flame into an even better one, but first we have to, I believe, max it out. I can't remember the exact mechanics of that. Actually, it's probably this one right here. So you'll see that there's sort of like a Titanite chunk and then a Titanite slab. If you remember with Andre, he has these same ones, and the chunk is for weapon ascension. The slab is for weapon, is for like even bigger weapon ascension. So basically, if you build your Pyromancy Flame big enough, she can actually give you an even better one. And it's very important that you find her if you're doing a Pyromancy-based build. She'll show up whenever your Pyromancy Flame hits +10. Let's see what else she has to say.
Long ago, I accepted another pupil like yourself. Over 200 years ago, there was a man almost as bungling as you in your world. He was called Salomon, the Master Pyromancer. The little rascal really made something of himself.
And God, I love Quelana's whole demeanor, the sort of like amusement that she views you, the player, with. That it's like, oh, you can see, you know, like you mere mortal can see me? Huh, that's kind of neat. And long ago, I took a pupil Salaman, and he was almost as bumbling as you were. Like, it's just, she has so much of a friendly rapport with you. Just, you know, just having someone that you can talk to, despite the fact that she very clearly kind of views you as something of an insect, you know? Her whole demeanor is just fantastic. She's a really great character that, you know, a lot of people probably don't even know exists.
Pyromancy is the art of invoking and manipulating fire. But remember one thing. Always fear the flame, lest you be devoured by it and lose yourself. I would hate to see that happen again.
So, of course, we kind of immediately can think of Laurentius, but she clearly has someone else on her mind. It's likely that given he hollowed down here, Laurentius never found Quelana, despite what he may have wanted. And that's kind of an important part of her character that we'll have to keep in mind as we go further down and explore more of the Demon Ruins and Hyzeleth.
Pyromancy is the art, but remember one, always fear. I would hate to see.
And I do like that I believe Laurentius has a very similar line. He describes it very lovingly, but they do kind of explain how pyromancy is the art of controlling fire. And I like the contrast between these two, because like, while Aingi does sell you pyromancies, you never really get the concept of like master and pupil from him. He's just willing to share with you because you are able to talk to his lady, and it's nice that way. But the game really does contrast, you know, compare and contrast Quelana and Laurentius. Laurentius is kind of this country bumpkin whose life is basically defined by pyromancy, and it's impossible for him to talk about it without showing how much he loves it. Whereas Quelana herself has something more of a royal lineage that we'll get to. And, you know, the way she speaks, the way that she considers herself around you, she's obviously from a very, very high social class and, you know, from a very powerful being. And she does seem to have a similar reverence for it, but she doesn't get emotional. She has a very business-like relationship with it almost, or maybe even like, what am I trying to say here? I've completely lost it. But like, you know, she clearly understands the dangers of it the same way that Laurentius does. She gives us basically the same sort of warning that you can be burned by these sorts of things. But they are still very similar in a lot of ways. And I like the parallels that the game draws between these two. And we'll definitely have more to say to Quelana as time goes on and as that area goes on. So I think I'm going to end it here. I think that this is a good spot to finish up, and that next time we will take on those bloomy demon ruins.
No luck. Well, young pupil, you must have patience, but do not keep me waiting much longer.
Goodbye.